Hey, what's up guys, Mashin here, come back with a brand new video for you guys. Today we're going to be talking about the massive growth of the Antwerp capsules, specifically focusing in on what the future might hold for them and answering the big question if now is going to be the optimal time to potentially buy in. Now with anything like this, obviously I've got my own investments. You can always find those down in the description, so let's hop on into it. First thing we got to talk about is the future of these capsules, and more specifically, the future of any capsule is also a little bit dependent on this event, and that's potentially the Paris Major. Now, I don't think this is going to play a direct impact, but there definitely is some impact that we're going to be talking about after a quick word from our sponsor, Market CSGO. The sponsor for today's video is MarketCSGO.com. They're a peer-to-peer CSGO marketplace. They've currently got over 100,000 daily trades, and they've got a brand new slick design to help you find those skins. They've got a couple very useful features, and it's super easy to list your skins. All you have to do is go ahead, get their market app client, which is going to prevent you from getting scammed, and then you can go ahead and list your skins very easily. And if you're looking to buy skins on the site, they've got tons of different deposit options, and if you want to take out that money you just got by selling your skins, they've also got a ton of different withdrawal options you can use. And running right now on the website, they've got an exclusive 30 knife giveaway. All you have to do to join is click that top link in the description, get started today. Now circling back to that Paris Major talk, in my opinion, I don't think it's going to be anything extreme. However, like we saw with Stockholm and Antwerp when that situation occurred, there most likely is going to be a little bit of a tremor in the market depending on how the Paris stickers look. If they look incredibly good, we could potentially see Antwerp decrease a little bit in price because it is quite expensive for how relatively new it is to the market and the fact that we know a lot of people are invested into it. But I would say nothing too extreme is expected to happen, especially after what we saw with Stockholm and Antwerp, and even any investment at this point. I don't really see a major downfall coming for these capsules because of it. Now focusing in on specifically these capsules, what to avoid. The biggest thing I want to tell you to avoid is investing into these because you like them and you think they're good because they're on the rise. In my opinion, it's going to be very hard to justify that investment if you're buying into these because of FOMO, and that's a very large problem considering we've seen a lot of people who have bought in for FOMO, especially in the capsule realm, do very well in investing, and that's something I really want you to stay away from. If you want to buy these investments, I think you should definitely look into the reasons as to why, which we're going to be talking about in just a couple minutes. It's not something that you should just be picking up because the capsule's on the rise, and I think a lot of people fell into that trap just very recently with the fracture and snakebite cases. These cases were going up, people invested into them because they were going up, and obviously it didn't turn out very well for everybody. In the long term, I don't know if it's necessarily going to matter, but especially in the short term, you need to justify why. Now for all of the Antwerp capsules, I've went ahead and I've analyzed every single ROI. We're going to be running through that, including the autographs, which I have not done in about 8 months, so I think you should stay tuned for this. Talking about the autographs first up here, we're going to be going over to the Champion capsule, and this one is to be expected, coming in at only a 40% ROI. This one is up a little bit from the last time I analyzed it, which was, those 8 months ago at this point, so I can't say how relevant that is necessarily. Focusing in on the other 3 capsules, I would say it's surprisingly even. You're going to see the old prices in just a quick second, but for these new prices, we're sitting at 55, potentially 45%, so about 50% ROI on average. The biggest one I want to point out is that Contenders capsule, which obviously contains the Rocks Hollow, and if you haven't seen, the Rocks Hollow has gone absolutely insane. Obviously, we've seen a little bit of a fallback, but that's to be expected when we see this massive growth right here. But if we head back to 8 months ago, this thing was sitting at a 77% ROI, but most importantly, it was sitting significantly higher than the other capsules. If we want to come back to today, we see that it's sitting the exact same with roughly the Challengers capsule, which is very interesting because they're both sitting at almost the exact same price point, something that is super interesting moving forward. Now coming on over to the current capsules, which have the stickers inside of them, we're going to be focusing in on the Legends first. Now the Legends capsule supporting the lowest ROI out of all of the Antwerp capsules, coming in at around 50-ish%. This might seem low compared to the other two, which we'll talk about in just a quick second, but this is actually not terrible when we talk about the fact that the Legends capsules as a whole, and even for Rio, have really low ROIs, and that's potentially because they're unboxed the most, and that would make sense considering the other data we have with all of this, which we'll get to in just another quick minute. But the other 2 capsules, the Contenders coming in at around 71-72%, and the challengers coming in at around 62%. These are actually really good numbers compared to what other things are sitting at. If we want to talk about Rio, which I recently just went through yesterday to make sure that we could have some comparable data, that's sitting at around 53, 59, and about 76%. Now talking about the resources moving forward. Now I'm not always going to be able to analyze these capsules and give you a rough breakdown, so I've got a couple resources you can check out. The biggest thing I want to point out is it's not like cases. It's hard to find these resources for capsules. There are a couple big resources. One, you can obviously find my spreadsheets down in the description of videos and such, but the other ones are going to be csroi.com. It's an okay website in my opinion. I usually differ a little bit from it in ROI, which makes me a little bit concerned / questionable of the website. The other one is if you go over to the CSGO Market Forum, they have the Chinese capsule unboxing numbers there by Ypsilon. If you ever want to check that out, it's also a pretty useful resource. But all of that coming together for the big question at the end, should you specifically be picking up some of these Antwerp capsules? Now, in my opinion, this is a very mixed bag. I think Antwerp right now is sitting in an interesting position. I think it's definitely not one of the worst investments out there. When we're talking about sticker capsules, it's not necessarily too expensive compared to some of its competition. Obviously, if we want to look at Stockholm, there's $8 sticker capsules there. You probably could justify an investment at that point, depending on what your financial situation is. I always like to go for those cheaper investments with a lot of potential. But in this situation, Antwerp is not necessarily the cheapest investment, but I don't think it's the worst, especially when we talk about these capsules and their desirability. Some people have really been taking an interest to the glitter stickers, which is very interesting considering they were very hated on, but that was also my theory if you want to go back. But when these came out, I said one of the deciding factors for this capsule could be the fact that it has these glitter stickers, and glitter stickers aren't desirable now, but they could be in the future, and it seems like a decent amount of people are starting to come around. Obviously, holos are always going to dominate because they look much better, and at this point they're a tier rarer, so they're going to be a little bit more exclusive. But if you want my true honest opinion moving forward, I really like the Antwerp capsules. I think they're in a very strong position right now, especially the whole way the market is shaping up around sticker capsules. Obviously we've got that Paris major coming up, and I think that's something that's weighing on a decent amount of people, but focusing on these Antwerp capsules, if we want to compare them to the competition, we've got the Stockholm capsules, which obviously look roughly similar, I would say, and have shown that they have grown significantly larger than most people would have expected. We've also got the Rio capsules, which even though they didn't look great, are still sitting at a competitive enough price point that I could reasonably see people picking up the Antwerp capsules to open. Which sticker would you prefer? Most people would probably prefer the Antwerp stickers, and the fact is they're maybe 20% more expensive when we're talking about the capsules themselves, which is not a very large margin in terms of 15 or 20 cents. So although I can't necessarily give you a decision whether you should invest or not, because that's not what I meant to do, I think this is definitely an investment that you could potentially be looking into at this time that I would say is not a bad one. But that's pretty much all I have for today. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day.